Hey y'all. Let's see how this looks from the other end. Alright. Oh. Hi, good afternoon. This is Homebody here just to talk to you guys about something that was on my mind a little bit earlier. Get my keys up. I just got back in from outside and it is a warm day. Okay, it's a really warm day. I want to do this video in my car. The thing is though, is that it's hard to talk in my car with the windows down. People kind of walking by and they can hear what I'm saying. And my car does not have air. So, when did my car stop having air? So the alternator went out on my car in, I want to say October, and no, it was August. It went out in August, we got it fixed, but they forgot to check the air. We had mentioned that the air had went out around that same time, and or it wasn't coming out, it wasn't as cold. And they did the alternator, and then when we got the car back, the air was completely gone. And they were like, oh, we could have fixed it when we were getting the alternator fixed. But it's going to cost you $1,700 to go back in, because the place they have to go into your car is the same place the alternator is. And they could have done it for cheaper if they were doing it at the same time. But because they have to go back in, take some stuff out, it's going to cost $1,700. And my car is a 2007, so I feel like it's not worth it. Like, my car, it does drive good, the mileage is low. I got the car from a government auction, so the mileage is really good. It was, for the most part, well maintained. But I feel like it's an older car, so if I'm going to spend $1,700 on a 16-year-old car, wait, 2007. Yeah, 16 because it's 2023. I feel like that can be a down payment on another car, you know. So I don't know. Maybe I'll make it through the summer. Maybe I won't. If I don't, I'll just go ahead and I have to cough the money up. But we'll see how it goes. But it doesn't have air, so if I do a video in my car, I'm gonna have to keep the windows rolled up because of, you know, people kind of walking by and not wanting to draw attention to myself. So I don't know, but I just figured, you know, I'll just come home and we'll talk. So the topic of discussion is Donald Trump. Okay, so Donald Trump has gotten indicted on Tuesday in New York, and the charges is that he paid some hush money. Okay, so if you guys don't follow or don't remember, when Trump was campaigning, there was a woman, I think her name was Stormy Daniels. And she was saying that Donald had solicited her or had used her services, and he denied it, and she kind of just went away. And I remember her making the rounds. She was on The View, I remember. I think her attorney was on there with her, if I remember correctly, and it kind of just went away, right? So you didn't really hear much of it, but come to find out, he had paid her to be quiet. Okay, so that's what they're bringing him up on. And I was just like thinking about that, and I was just like, okay, let me just do a video on it. And I was walking yesterday, and I had these thoughts in my mind. And I was like, you know what, let me just stop being a internal dialogue kind of person. Maybe I can kind of express myself verbally and see if it kind of makes sense to you guys, what I'm thinking. Okay, so okay, I'm speaking from black person's perspective, okay? And this is something that I believe. Doesn't mean this applies to every black person, but this is what I believe. So black people in general have always sided with Democrats. I'm not exactly sure why, but if I had to make an educated guess, it would be because of the civil rights movement. And the civil rights movement, this is a time period where black people were trying to get rights that any human being should be able to get, right? So, for example, there was a lot of discrimination. There were a lot of people that weren't able to work. They weren't getting a fair wage. They weren't able to ride the bus. in the front. They had to go to the back. They weren't able to drink out of certain fountains. They weren't able to patronize certain restaurants. They weren't able to go to certain restrooms to use the bathroom. And we all know what happens in the bathroom. Everybody does it, and it doesn't mean that one race, their excrement is any better than the next person's excrement. It all stinks, okay? So that's stupid to have a rule where you can't go to the same bathroom as other people because of the color of your skin. So there were different things that were happening, and a big thing was that people were not given the rights to vote. And that's where a lot of people felt like their power was. People felt like, hey, the rules and laws aren't changing because we aren't allowed to vote. And other people have the say-so. So I think the turn of events probably happened with President Kennedy. And I think that's probably where, like I said, the civil rights movement was kind of happening, and people kind of just stuck to the Democrats because of President Kennedy before he was assassinated. And let me just double check on that in regards to what party. I want to just make sure I have my information correct. So what party was President Kennedy? Give me one moment. Party. Political party. Let's see. JFK, he was a Democrat, okay? So, yes, he was a Democrat. Boom, okay? So, I think that's probably why, okay? Because at this time, he was someone that people saw as trying to help them get their civil rights. And I think it kind of just stuck, okay? So, Democrats, their party, and I'm not sure if the word is evolved or devolved, okay? Civil rights, it makes a lot of sense, okay? To treat people fairly. We're all human beings. The color of your skin is judging someone on the color of their skin is so primitive and stupid. It makes sense not to do it, right? But it seems like the Democratic Party, it has devolved because they made a statement of saying there's no rules at all. So it went from there should be no rules based on race, so now there's no rules based on everything, okay? And we know that rules are helpful, right? So, for example, it makes sense to not discriminate against someone that is handicapped. It makes perfect sense, right? Put laws in place, put things in place that can enable someone who may be hard of hearing or may need a wheelchair to get places. It makes sense to have things in place because a lot of people, no matter the disability, have so much to offer, right? It makes a lot of sense, right? But when it comes to other things where there's no rules, it's almost like a do what you want, be what you want kind of situation the Democrats have been pushing. So my belief as a black person is that most black people are at the core Republican, okay? The Republicans are known for family values, right? Trying to keep families together. They're anti-abortion. They are not about handouts. You know, they want to limit how much, federal control and things like that. And a lot of black people that I know, of course I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of black people I know that's what they believe in, So they believe in family values in general. They believe, like most black people I know, they want to work. Of course, if they need it and they have to ask, they will, but they really don't. Unless they have to, they prefer to work and, do what they got to do to support themselves and their families. Democrats are known also for their social programs. Social programs meaning, government assistance and things like that. Now, it makes a lot of sense that the Democrats do, back social programs, because if you know that people's civil rights have been intruded on, people haven't been treated fairly, that limits their opportunities in regards to making money, providing for people's families, getting health care. We know there's stigma in health care, right? So it makes a lot of sense that they back social programs, but it's gotten to a place where there is limited gatekeeping, able-bodied people, like there should be, there should just be things in place where everybody is just not, you know, just taking advantage of the system. So that's that, right? So the reason why, I'm going to break it down. The reason why black people are Democrats is because they think the Republicans are racist. That's what it boils down to. That's just what it boils down to. It's not about values. It's about racism. And people of color in general have a right to not want to be involved or help people that are racist. It makes perfect sense, right? But at the deep core, we could get past the racism stuff. At the deep core, I believe most black people are Republican by nature. So, with that being said, the Democrats have more influence. And I shouldn't even, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe they don't have more influence. It appears that they have more influence. I think the Republicans, their pockets run deeper in general. And of course, these are all the same people. Like, let's get down to the bottom of it. These are all the same people when it comes to behind closed doors. When they go on to social functions, they probably get along fine, right? But in the public eye, it's different, right? But Republicans probably had deeper pockets because of their racist histories, right? A lot of times they do have generational situations where they have built their wealth on the backs of other people. The Democrats, so Republicans have money, usually like deep money and wealth. And the Democrats, what they do is they have the media, okay? The Democrats are very crafty when it comes to using the media to influence people. So a lot of singers, actors, entertainers in general, they're Democrats. If they're not Democrat, they're not as vocal, okay? They're probably donating their money where they wanted to donate, but they're not verbally like as open with their political party. But there are a lot of media, like even when I watch, certain news programs, they're very liberal leaning, okay? And Democrats are known to be liberal, okay? So, all that to say is that both political parties have done dirt and do dirt. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. It's just not, right? We know Trump has done things and said things that are, number one, stupid. And then he lies about half the stuff that he does and says. He's not an honest person. I'll never forget how he did those boys in New York when this woman had gotten raped, and he said some things that got people very incensed to accuse these boys of, doing this to this woman, and they had spent so much time in jail. They got assaulted themselves in jail. Their lives will never be the same. And he was a big part of that because he had some hotels and businesses and stuff in New York. So his voice meant a lot at that time. So he just said what he said, just based on race. And feeling like, like a lot of, hate to say it, a lot of old white men do, especially if they don't have that change mentality, like this is stupid, does people want to color their skin. But he has that mentality that it must be true, because our good white folks don't do stuff like that, which is, we know it's not true. And that goes back to slavery. We know that a lot of people were raping their slaves, men and women and children, right? So yes, it does happen on both sides, but these are boys, and I'm not saying unheard of, but typically, in my mind as a black person, I could see 6 juveniles robbing a store. I could see that. But it's hard for me in my mind to envision 6 juveniles raping a woman. Not saying it's unheard of, but it's just typically, like you can get an idea of people, just by being a person. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But anyway, they got locked up. But he does some things, racist things. His father, even himself, they were doing a lot of redlining when it comes to, and redlining is basically the practice of, in real estate, what happens is that when there's a property for sale, they would close it off to people of color. They would just basically say, no, we're not going to sell to you. You belong over here. We don't belong over here. And, you know, that's another civil rights rule now, that you cannot, you know, stop a sale to someone, especially if they have the money and the means. You cannot stop people from buying property. That's another rule that's put in place, that's been put in place. But certain people have found their ways around laws and rules, right? So he is known for doing and saying some racist things and having some racist practices. So that is true, right? So has the Democrats. Let's not forget Biden and his crime bill and how many black folks he locked up. Okay, let's not forget that. And black people were targeted for the same crimes as their white counterparts, and they were actually getting charges, and they were getting more jail time and felonies as compared to slap on the wrist, no jail time, no felony, you know, charges. So it's we've seen both sides of it, but it seems like it's more blatant on one side than the other. That's what it seems like. But when you look at it from this eye, you can see exactly what it is. So that's Biden. That's Biden's history. We know about Hillary, right? Hillary's done some stuff. Like, the Democrats have gotten dirt on their hands too, right? So now with this Trump thing, Trump has been impeached twice. He still got to serve, you know, the 4 years of his presidency. And now we're looking at re-election season, right? Election season coming up again. And it just seems like people are throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. That's what it seems like to me, okay? So it's almost like the bully is bullying another bully type situation. And I'm just like, both of you guys, on both ends, and I'm just not talking about one particular person, I'm talking about both parties, are horrible people in general. They're horrible. So that's my opinion. I just was like, yeah, I don't understand. It's just a situation where people are, and it's not about, in my mind, it's not about hush money. It's about, we can't have this man back in office. We want to keep power and control right where it is. And that's what it boils down to. It's about the bully is bullying another bully. And they're both kind of in the same. And mind you, Donald Trump, before he became a politician, he was a businessman. He rubbed shoulders with a lot of these people back in the day. They were all pals, okay? So, power control is very hard to not have once you've had it. And so that's what the battle is all about. So, I'm going to leave it at that. You tell me what your thoughts are. Please like this video, subscribe, and I will be back. I was thinking about maybe changing. I don't know, because I'm the kind of person, I have an idea and then I'll lose the energy or lose the gumption to do it. But I was thinking about maybe doing more news-related commentary. Because I have a lot of thoughts. Most of the time, I just keep them in my head, though. But maybe I should just kind of just verbalize what my thoughts are. Now, doesn't mean that I might not come back on here in a month and change my mind about everything I just said, okay? But it may not be a bad thing to do. Maybe talk to you guys about different news stories and give you guys my opinion, and then you guys tell me what you guys think, and then we'll just, do that. And I talked to you guys. It was so funny because The Matrix is on now. Like, it's on Sci-Fi. They've been playing, like, The Matrix, like, movies. And they played it yesterday, too. And I was just thinking, I did a video years back, and I took the video down. But I did a video about The Matrix. You guys have to choose your own Matrix. Everyone choose their... They choose their belief system. Okay? They choose what their fight is. They choose their cults. Everything is a cult. Religion's a cult. Politics are a cult. Work is a cult. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you ever, are someone that actually follows sports, and you buy the shirts and hats, and you go to the parade when they win, or you buy a ticket and you clap and get involved and you gamble and bet. It's a cult. It's just it's a belief system that you stick to, and everyone has beliefs, but they're typically tiered. Okay, so at the very, very top, you could have, I'm all about my work. At the very second tier, it could be, I'm less about this than work, but I really like sports after work. And then after sports, it could be every now and again, you know, I'll praise God, you know, maybe religion's further down. Everyone has a matrix, and that matrix, it kind of guides how you see the world, right? And politics is just another matrix. It's just another belief system that people get really super involved in, and it's hard for people to see other people's perspectives on it. So it's just always good to have an open mind about stuff. And the best way, I think, for me is to kind of stand in the middle. Not to get super involved in one side or the other, because every side has flaws. Every side has things that shouldn't happen, shouldn't have been said, shouldn't have been done, you know. And so it's just one of those things where you just have to decide if you want which matrix, which cult, you know, is at the top of your list. And so that's how people live their lives. So I'm going to leave it at that. I will be back with another video. I'm going to scan through some news topics, and maybe I'll come back tomorrow. I'm hoping I can do a video in my car, because I do like, it seems like for me, when I go outside, I take my walks, and I'm out, I get a lot of like ideas, you know, and I'm the most creative in my mind. So I'll be back with another video, and have a good rest of your day. Take care.